Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Glenn Tan speaking. This time, I'm continuing to talk about FCU, thermostat and controller, including the functions and also including how to do the wiring to BNS and settings. This presentation divides into these three parts. The last part is the BNS summary. Just like what I had introduced for the BNS wiring is a little bit complicated, so I divided into these three groups. So for the first group is only for the concealed type FCU, and here I just listed the typical model. You can just follow this one to check whether your model is available for this wiring or not. And here is the required components, which is this thermostat. As for the group 2, and is available for the AC wall mounted floor ceiling and also this 4-way well cassette. And here is the typical models of it. And here we require the component is there are two methods. First is the method 1 is the wire controller as an adapter to combine together, then from the to the RS485 converter, then to the PC, and also similar to this gateway. But for this one, it's only for the AC wall mounted and floor ceiling, not available for this 4-way cassette. The last is the group 3. For this one, is available for this 4-way cassette and the DC wall mounted. Here is the typical models, and we need to use this one as not as an adapter, but just to change the address of this BNS for the FCU. And after that, you can dismantle this one. And the control signal is directly from the PCB of these two. And as the protocol of the RS485 for this different group is not completely the same, so we just strongly recommend to use different RS485 converter for different group for the BNS control. And also, if your selected FCU model is not on this list, please contact with your grid salesman for the model whether it is available for the BNS control or not. The last is the BNS summary topological, which is divided into different group, group 1, group 2, and group 3, and how to do the wiring. You can find that just like what I said. For different group, we recommend different RS485 converter. And for group 1 is from the Y controller as an adapter to output the standard RS485 signal. For group 2, you can choose either from this Y controller or from this gateway to output the standard RS485 signal, then to the converter. And as for the group 3, it is output from the PCB of the FCU. Is already the standard RS485 signal, then you can connect to the converter. And first priority control for the BNS, which means it's higher standard than the car control. And the other one is just pay attention to this cassette type. It is available for the group 2 and group 3, which means you can use this XE70 as an adapter to output the standard RS485, or you can output the RS485 directly from the PCB of this cassette type FCU. Which means for the cassette type, both group, it is also okay. This is the reference data just to display the FCU wave control for your reference. You can have a look at this one to find out the difference. And this info is only for your reference. to choose which type of the valve you would like to connect for this FCU. That's all for this presentation. If you still have any other question, please feel free to contact me on this email address.